Good morning, children. Welcome to my English class. This is a message to you all from me. Now, today we are going to move on with a chapter in your main course book. So, what do we see here? Books make great gifts. They have wonderful world inside of them. So, here is your chapter which we are going to go through today. What is this? It's a famous write-up by Agatha Christie. What is the name of the story? The Mysterious Affair at Styles. Now, before going through the write-up, we need to know about our writer, a very well-known writer, Dame Agatha Mary Christie. She was a lady, Malone. DBE was an English writer known for her 66 detective novels and 14 short story collections, particularly those revolving around fictional detectives, Hercule Poirot and Miss Maggie. Agatha Christie was born on 15th of September 1890 at Torquay in United Kingdom. He died on 12th of January 1976 in Winterbrook, a place in the United Kingdom. Some famous plays written by her: The Mousetrap, Witness for the Prosecution, Towards Zero, Moore's Spouse, Max Mallowan, and Archibald Christie. Now we come up to our chapter today. The Mysterious Affair at Styles. Here, I'm going to explain you all the chapter in brief, and then we'll go for a chapter reading in our class hours. Poirot, a Belgian refugee of the Great War, is settling in England near the home of Emily Lingthrop, who helped him to his new life. His friend Hastings arrives as a guest at her home. When the woman is killed, Poirot uses his detective skills to solve the mystery. So we start the writer. It's a novel. The novel is set in England during World War at Styles Court and Essex country manor. Also the setting of the curtain, that is Poirot's last case. Upon her husband's death, the wealthy widow Emily Cavendish inherited a life estate in Styles, as well as the outright inheritance of her brighter part of the late Mr. Cavendish's income. Mrs. Cavendish became Mrs. Lingthorpe upon her recent remarriage to a more younger man, Alfred Lingthorpe. Emily had two stepsons, John and Lawrence Cavendish, as well as John's wife Mary, and several other people, who lives at Stylus. John Cavendish is the vested remainderman of Stylus. That is, the property will pass on to him automatically upon his stepmother's decease, as per his late father's will. The income left to Mrs. Lingthorpe by her late husband would be distributed as per Mrs. Lingthorpe's own will. So, this is the beginning. Late one night, the residents of Stylus wake to find Emily Lingthorpe dying of what proves to be strychnine poisoning. Lieutenant Hastings, a house guest, enlists the help of his friend Hercule Poirot, who is staying in the nearby village. Stylus, St. Mary. Poirot pieces together events surrounding the murder on the day she was killed. Emily Lingthorpe was overheard arguing with someone, most likely her husband, Alfred, or her stepson, John. Afterwards, she seemed quite distressed and apparently made a new will, which no one can find. She ate little at dinner and retired early to her room with her document case. The case was later forced upon open by someone and a document removed. Alfred Lingthorpe left Stylus earlier in the evening and stayed overnight in the nearby village. So he was not present when the poisoning occurred. Nobody can explain how or when the strychnine was administered to Mrs. Lingthorpe. At first, Alfred is the prime suspect. He has the most to gain financially from his wife's death. And since he is so much younger than Emily was, the Cavendishes already suspect him as a fortune hunter. Evelyn Howard, Emily's companion, seems to hate him most of all. His behavior, too, is suspicious. He openly purchased strychnine in the village before Emily was poisoned, and although he denies it, he refuses to provide an alibi. The police are keen to arrest him, but Poirot intervenes by proving he could not have purchased the poison. Scotland Yard police later arrest Emily Lingthorpe's oldest stepson, John Cavendish. He inherits under the terms of her will, and there is no evidence to suggest he also had obtained poison. Of course, there is evidence to suggest that he also had obtained poison. So, what do we come up to? Poirot clears Cavendish by proving it was, after all, Alfred Lingthorpe who committed the crime, assisted by Evelyn Howard, who turns out to be his cousin, not his enemy. The guilty pair poisoned Emily by adding a precipitating agent, bromide, obtained from Mrs. Linglethorpe's sleeping powder to her regular evening medicine, causing its normal innocuous strychnine constituents to sink to the bottom of the bottle, where they were finally consumed in a single lethal dose. Their plan had been for Alfred Linglethorpe to incriminate himself with false evidence, which could then be refuted at his trial. Once acquitted, due to his double jeopardy, he could not be tried for the crime a second time. Should any genuine evidence against him be subsequently discovered, hence prompting Poirot to keep him out of prison when he realized that Alfred wanted to be arrested. So, this is what the chapter is about. We are going to read the chapter thoroughly in our live classes, and I'm going to explain you all there. Please attend my live class, children, so as to get the explanation of the chapter properly. Thank you.